Hi guys, Diesel Johnny Boy here with a bit of an update on my latest obsession, which is for Seagull outboard motors. So as you know, if some of you might have seen my earlier videos, I've got a 40 plus from 1971 and then there's a little 40 featherweight from 1970. So I've overhauled both these and they all run nice. I took the 40 plus out last weekend and we had a good bit of fun on a little 8-9 foot dinghy I've got, a little Avon Red Start. We went up and down the River Hamble a few times and it performed really well. But I've since picked up a third Seagull. I got this one for £25 from a guy in Weymouth. I was down that way, couldn't help myself, so it was a bit of a bargain, so I picked it up. It did, when I got it home, I did actually manage to give it a little test run. It did actually work, so that was a good thing. So I decided to give it a bit of an overhaul because I enjoy taking these little things apart. It's quite therapeutic fiddling around with these little things. But this is a Super 40, which the Super 40s have the LS prefix on the serial number. This one dates from 1954, 1955, so it's a much earlier one, and there are quite a few differences. I'll just talk about those briefly. Some of the obvious ones were the actual barrel. Now, in the newer Seagulls, the cylinder head is held on by actual 4 bolts. We're on the earlier LS model, and I believe also the the little 40s, I believe they had studs. Well, the LS certainly has studs anyway, because there they go. The studs are fixed into the top part of the crankcase. Obviously on that one, they just bolt into the cylinder, into the barrel. So that's one big difference. This engine is a 64cc engine, which is the same as the later Seagulls, the small block Seagulls. But that's an interesting difference. The barrel is different as well. You can see it obviously because you can see all the way through it, the galleries. If it was all blocked up, I've given it a good clean. The cylinder heads are actually interchangeable, but I did notice, and I'll show you my cylinder head. This one doesn't have the don't remove sign on it, the old famous don't remove sign. So that obviously got put on a bit later, but apparently the cylinder heads are the same. This one's got a bit of corrosion on it, so I'm not sure whether to repair it or replace it. It's 65 years of taking its toll a bit, and it's reacted with the steel, I suppose, and salt and corrosion and what have you. So some bits have got a bit sort of eaten away. So yeah, I might have to put another head on it. They're cheap enough to buy, but it would have been nice to keep it original, so we'll see. One of the other differences is on the earlier ones, they have these steel gaskets. They're like quite thick steel. That is the one that goes on where the barrel, on the crankcase, the barrel gasket. That's like a stainless steel apparently. Then the head gasket is also stainless steel. These are a little bit pitted, so John at SOS is kindly sending me 2 more, £15 for a pair of gaskets, so I'm going to replace the head and the barrel gasket. So that'll be the engine side of things done. It's got the old, ouch, ooh, hurt my knee earlier actually, I've got a bit of a twinge. That's got the Villiers coil, which is obviously a bit of an old thing now, you know, so, but it does give a spark still, so that was good news. So I'm pleased about that. It's got a big fat spark still. A few other little differences I've noticed are on the gearbox. It's like a polished aluminium, which is quite, you know, high spec. I believe the newer ones were like painted. So don't quote me on that. And also the drive tube is held in by pinch bolts. I've got my other one, it's actually drying at the moment, but that's screwed on. So on the earlier ones, it's actually screwed on to the gearbox. And also I've noticed that's flat where the propeller goes, look, completely flat. While on the later ones, like, it's recessed. The propeller's kind of recessed a little bit. So that's another difference. Also, the little impeller which forces the water up around the tube, up and around the engine, that's not plastic, it's made of aluminium, or sometimes they're brass apparently, I've been reliably informed, and it's held by a split pin to keep it in its right place. But it's the same, looks the same as the plastic one, but it's just made of a different material. So that's interesting, another little difference. Also the filler plug is brass, it's like a brass bolt filler plug, a nice little brass screw, that's quite nice, isn't it? That's also polished as well, polished aluminium. It's in very good condition, this old thing, considering it's nearly 70 years old. There's the crown wheel. There's no movement in it, it's held in with a pin. I also noticed that the little retaining pin here, which holds the shaft in place, goes through that hole there. That's like a little brass pin, like on the later ones it's a roll pin, but that's like a solid brass pin. The little rubber washer that stops grit and stuff getting into the gearboxes appears to be the same. The tiller arm is shorter. So there's the tiller arm on the LS, and look at that, the tiller arm on the later ones, 40s, is a much longer affair. So that's interesting. What else have we got? Oh yeah, the little bracket that goes on the transom, hooks it on the transom. That's got a metal hook to hook there when you're not using it. You hook it out, hook the propeller out the water. Actually, having said that, I'm wrong about that, because I thought that was plastic on my other one, but it's metal on that one. So actually, that's not a huge difference actually. So I'm sure it's plastic on my other one. Well, that's got a plastic. It's got a plastic bolt clip thing going through there. Well, this one's brass with a split pin through it, so that is a little difference. I'm sure on my other 40 plus that's plastic. Can't remember now. The tank, here's my fuel tank. I really like this tank. This tank is not even dented, look at that. This one's all battered. Sometimes, you know, these things get dropped. So it's got some real big dents. It doesn't leak though. It's got a plastic cap. While the earlier one, it's got like the Seagull on it, the British Seagull, look at that. There's the decal on it. I'm going to keep this original because I think it's so really nice. I want it to look kind of a bit oldie worldy. I've given it a good clean, and as it's brass, there's no rot in it. I gave it 2 or 3 coats of lacquer. So I just think that looks really nice. It'll look really nice when it's all back together. I don't want it to look like brand new, so it's going to have that pattern of age about it, which is I think is really nice. That's about it really. There's the tiller arm. That's brass, that tiller arm. I think the later ones were steel. So yeah, that is actually brass. So I'm going to leave that with it. I don't know why they painted it black, but they did. They have brass and then they paint it black. So I'll keep that just like that, because that's nice as well. I can just rub it over with an oily rag every now and again. Oh, there was the other difference. Where's my oh yeah, it's my throttle. The throttle cable. Here it is up here. Now the throttle cable, that's original there. Look at that. It's braided. Some sort of braided material. That one's white plastic, or they're black or white. This one's like a braided finish, so that's nice. It's in good condition. It all works all right. The bowl, the fuel bowl, was a bit rusty. I've given that a little lick of paint because it was a bit rusty. Because that on the later ones were plastic. So these are plastic air inlet and the plastic bowl. Well, this is all metal, so that's a big difference, isn't it? Got the original spark plug that was in it still as well, look at that. KLG M50. So this spark plug, it was a bit rusty, I couldn't clean. It actually worked. I mean, it fired up and ran on that plug quite happily. So we'll put that back in and let it carry on. This is a non-original. Apparently this is not original. An expert Seagull guys told me this is not original fuel pipe. It would have had a solid copper one, I think, that curls round. This is a replacement one. It's got the usual little pull-out tap with a little cork insert in there and the filter there. Stop any crud getting into the carburettor. What I tend to do so I don't lose any bits and pieces, I kind of wire everything up. It's good practice, otherwise you end up losing things. There's all the cylinder head bolts, nuts, got those wired up. Helps me remember where everything is when I come to put it back together. But yeah, they're lovely little things. I mean, it's a bit addictive, these little Seagulls. It's very well made though, they're very well constructed. The other thing that's different actually, which I really like on this earlier one, is that, look at that, that's really nice. The best outboard motor in the world, so that's all in aluminium. There's the starter pulley, that's all aluminium. British Seagull. Well, on the later ones, they're plastic. That is also aluminium. I painted this red because I wanted it to be a bit different on that one. It's a little custom one, but that is actually aluminium. But this bit for the starter is plastic. Oh, this one's nice aluminium. It's got like a brass or anodized bolt. Nuts. So yeah, those are some of the key points there. The differences on the LS as opposed to the later 40 series. Anyway, I better stop now. I'm waffling on, aren't I? So yeah, hope you enjoy the video, and just a bit of fun. I'm no expert. I'm just getting into these things. I've only literally been collecting them since May. So they're fun little things. They're cheap to buy, and John at SOS, just Google SOS saving old Seagulls, and he's got quite a lot of spare parts for them. Not so many for the older ones, but certainly for the newer ones you can get loads of bits for them. This is the tube, the exhaust tube, where the exhaust goes down and the water goes up. That's chrome is in very good condition still. That's nice. That one's not pitted at all. On this one it's quite pitted. But yes, that's amazing. It could be a replacement, I suppose. It's hard to know, isn't it? But there we go. All right, guys. Well, look, have fun and get yourself a Seagull. There's plenty of them out there, and they're fun little things to tinker around with. Anyway, best wishes to all you guys and girls and whoever's watching, and take care. Over and out.